Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more detailed videos. Sheila stood just close enough to hear every word, her breath shallow as she pressed herself into the shadows. The hallway was quiet, deceptively calm, but inside her mind alarms were blaring. Deacon's voice carried through the crack in the door, low and careful, the kind of tone that meant secrets were being handled. Sheila's lips curled slightly. Secrets had a way of finding her. They always did. She leaned in further, straining to catch every syllable, every pause, every hesitation. Deacon was talking to someone on the phone, and from the sound of it, he wasn't nearly as relaxed as he wanted to pretend. His voice cracked just enough to betray nerves. Sheila recognized that sound instantly. Fear. Or guilt. Maybe both. Her eyes narrowed as she listened, piecing together fragments, letting her imagination fill in the gaps where words were missing. Whatever Deacon was involved in, it wasn't small, and Sheila could feel it in her bones. When the call ended and the door opened, Sheila stepped forward before Deacon could fully register what was happening. The look on his face was priceless. Shock flickered first, followed by panic, then quickly masked by forced calm. Sheila smiled sweetly, the kind of smile that never meant anything good. So, she said lightly, her tone dripping with false innocence, that sounded serious. Deacon tried to laugh it off, waving a hand as if she were imagining things. But Sheila didn't move. She didn't blink. She simply watched him waiting. Silence stretched between them, thick and uncomfortable. Finally, Deacon sighed, rubbing the back of his neck, already defeated. Sheila had that effect on people. She circled him slowly, like a predator inspecting its prey. She asked questions casually at first, but each one landed harder than the last. Why was he so tense? Who had he been talking to? Why did his voice drop like that when he said certain names? Deacon dodged and deflected, but Sheila wasn't buying it. She never did. You know, she said softly, stopping directly in front of him, people who have nothing to hide don't sound like you just did. That was when Deacon snapped back, telling her she was reading too much into nothing, that she should mind her own business. The words were sharp, defensive, and that alone told Sheila everything she needed to know. She leaned closer, lowering her voice so only he could hear. "Oh, Deacon," she whispered, "when has anything ever been none of my business?" The tension escalated quickly. Sheila pushed, pressing him about his loyalties, about whether he was really being honest with everyone in his life. Deacon's eyes darted around the room, checking doors, windows, anywhere someone else might overhear. The irony wasn't lost on Sheila. Here he was, worried about being overheard, while she had just finished doing exactly that. Sheila reminded him that secrets had consequences, and she had a long memory. She hinted that if he didn't come clean, she might just help him out by filling in the blanks for others. Deacon's face was drained of color. He knew better than anyone what Sheila was capable of when she felt excluded or betrayed. Their exchange turned heated, voices rising despite both of them trying to keep control. Deacon accused Sheila of stirring trouble, of always looking for leverage. Sheila didn't deny it. Instead, she owned it, telling him that leverage was power, and power kept people safe. Or destroyed them. It all depended on how cooperative they were. Eventually, Deacon backed down, offering half-answers, carefully chosen words meant to satisfy without fully revealing the truth. But Sheila wasn't satisfied. She could tell he was still holding something back, something big, and that only made her more determined. As Deacon walked away, clearly rattled, Sheila remained behind, her expression thoughtful. Whatever Deacon was hiding, she would uncover it. And when she did, she would decide exactly how and when to use it. Elsewhere, the mood was entirely different. Carter paced the room, nerves buzzing through him like electricity. He had rehearsed this moment 100 times in his head, but now that it was here, nothing felt certain. His heart pounded as he glanced at the door, waiting. He straightened his jacket, then smoothed it again, then stopped himself, letting out a slow breath. When she finally arrived, the room seemed to shift. Carter's thoughts scattered, replaced by a single, overwhelming clarity. This was it. No more delays. No more second-guessing. He greeted her warmly, though his voice betrayed his nerves. She noticed immediately, concern flickering across her face as she asked if everything was okay. Carter smiled, trying to steady himself, and told her there was something important he needed to say. He led her further into the room, his movements deliberate, almost ceremonial. The air between them felt charged, heavy with anticipation. She sensed it too, her curiosity growing with every step. He began by talking about their journey, about the moments that had brought them here. His words were heartfelt, sincere, and unguarded. He spoke about trust, about partnership, about choosing each other even when things were complicated. His voice grew steadier as he spoke, confidence replacing nerves. Then, without warning, he stopped. He took her hands in his, holding them tightly as if anchoring himself. She looked at him, eyes wide, breath caught in her chest. Time seemed to slow as Carter dropped to one knee. For a moment, the world disappeared. There was only Carter, his earnest expression, and the question hanging in the air before he even spoke it. When he finally did, his voice was clear, resolute, filled with hope. He asked her to marry him. Shock rippled across her face, followed quickly by emotion she struggled to contain. Tears welled in her eyes as she covered her mouth, overwhelmed. She hadn't expected this, not like this, not now. Telling her how certain he was, how he wanted a future with her, how he couldn't imagine his life without her by his side. Every word landed deeply, resonating in ways she hadn't anticipated. She hesitated, not because she didn't care, but because the weight of the moment was immense. She thought about everything they'd been through, the challenges, the doubts, the outside pressures. All of it swirled together, threatening to pull her under. Carter watched her anxiously, bracing himself for any response. Finally, she spoke, her voice trembling but sincere. She admitted she was scared. She admitted that life had taught her to be cautious, to protect herself. But she also admitted that what they had was real, and that she felt it just as strongly as he did. The relief on Carter's face was immediate, though he waited, not wanting to rush her. She took a deep breath, steadying herself, then smiled through her tears. She said yes. Carter let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding, his joy unmistakable as he slipped the ring onto her finger. He stood, pulling her into a tight embrace as they laughed and cried all at once. For a moment, nothing else mattered. Not the past. Not the future. Just this. But happiness in their world was never simple. As they celebrated, unaware of the shadows closing in, Sheila's earlier encounter lingered like a storm cloud on the horizon. Secrets were unraveling. Loyalties were being tested. And while one couple looked ahead with hope, others were quietly setting events into motion that could change everything. Sheila, alone with her thoughts, replayed her conversation with Deke over and over. Every word, every hesitation, every glance. She knew there was more to uncover, and she intended to dig until she found it. The question wasn't whether she would use what she learned, but how devastating the fallout would be when she did. And somewhere between whispered threats and heartfelt promises, the balance of power began to shift, setting the stage for consequences no one could fully predict. Come back to our channel for all your updates. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel.